All right, so Sam Bankman-Fried, Almeda, and FTX have thrown out sort of a life raft to Voyager customers. They have come up with a proposal that they are offering to Voyager customers, and it's gotten a lot of hate on Twitter, and I think most of that is because people don't really understand what's going on here. So, I found a really good thread from WassieLawyer. We've had WassieLawyer. We've used the thread of his in the past as on here as well. He is a super reputable source. He's an expert on the, sort of bankruptcy process. He's on the legal side of things. He's anonymous, though, so we don't know exactly who he is. But he's been on Shin's podcast, Unchained, with other reputable lawyers. So, he's very knowledgeable about it. So I wanted to pull up this thread because he's going to break it down for us and kind of give us the play-by-play of what this all means. What happens if you take the offer? If you're a Voyager customer now, what happens if you take the offer? What's in it for Sam? Because Sam does have an edge in this, and I think that's okay. I think everybody wants to attack Sam because he's trying to profit from this, which Sam's a businessman. He's running a business. He runs an exchange. I wouldn't expect him not to want to profit. But I don't think this is by any means malicious towards Voyager customers. Actually, I think that this is a good thing. And we're going to discuss more of that in a second here as we break down the details of the offer. But just kind of a general overview for those of you who don't know, Voyager filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. When they did that, before they did that, they froze all with deposits and withdrawals. So if you had crypto deposited into Voyager, you can't withdraw it. It's basically frozen right now. And what we're waiting for now is for the Chapter 11 process to play out, to come to a resolution. At that point, there's a chance you'll get some or all of your crypto back. Here's the catch. That process can take years, okay? So first of all, if you had like a couple thousand deposited into Voyager and it was money you need now, that doesn't help you, right? Like you're kind of SOL if you need the money right now without Sam's offer. So let's pretend Sam's offer is not there. The only option for depositors is to just wait for this Chapter 11 situation to play out in order to get some of your money back. And again, at that point, it all just depends on what's left in the pot, okay? So something that Sam noted is that he said that Voyager has enough assets to give most depositors their money back, so why don't they? What Sam's concern is that legal fees were going to eat a large portion of those deposits because going through bankruptcy is not free, and the lawyers get paid first. So the legal teams were going to get paid first, and that can take... WassieLawyer was talking about this on Shin's podcast. It can cost them, he projects it's going to cost them between $100 and $200 million to settle this bankruptcy. So that $1 to $200 million gets pulled from the pot that gets shared amongst creditors. So if you're a depositor and you wait till the very end, you're going to get your money back minus the $200 million spread across all the depositors. There's more that goes into it, but essentially that's the pot that you're sharing, the piece of the pie that you're trying to get your money out of gets a lot smaller because the legal fees come out on top. So what Sam is offering is an option for people to get liquidity now on their deposits in Voyager. The stipulations are, from my understanding, that they have to set up an FTX account, and that FTX essentially will give them a portion of their crypto. So if you had 10 grand deposited, you might get like 5,000 back on FTX, but it's instant. You get it now. You don't have to worry about it later, and it's optional. Okay, so again, before we get into WassieLawyer's thread here, I think that this is okay because it's optional. You're not forcing people. If they want to go through the whole process and try to get the rest of their money back, then they can do that. But for the people who need it today, this is an option to get at least some of their money back. So let's read through WassieLawyer's thread here. It's a pretty long one, so kick back, grab yourself a cup of coffee while we go through this. At the end, I'm going to sum it up and kind of go over some more points that I wanted to make. So what is Sam Bankman-Fried's latest proposal to save Voyager's customers all about? Why is Voyager so pissed with his offer? Join your friendly neighborhood hentai anime penguin in a suit as we delve into the latest move from the FTX Almeda Research Distressed Opportunities Fund. 2. First, a recap. Voyager has now gone into Chapter 11 and has appended in one of its filings a draft plan of reorganization, which provides us with some indication of what the company and its advisors are thinking. To be clear, Voyager's Chapter 11 filing is said to be a stalking horse proposal. This means that the intention is to have the standalone restructuring without considering new money injections so that the company has a solid base from which to negotiate with new financiers. Would naturally not get a very good offer if you were struggling to keep the lights on while trying to borrow money or sell shares in your distressed company to third parties. Voyager's standalone restructuring plan in its current draft form, which I covered previously, looks to be to offer all account holders a mixture of A, cash, B, crypto, C, Voyager tokens, D, Voyager equity, old equity to be canceled, and E, recoveries from the 3AC loan. As most are aware, Voyager is in trouble because of a $650 million plus loan, 58% of its loan book. That's ridiculous. They lent 58% of their loan book to 3AC. To 3AC, who defaulted. Voyager's strategy is to pursue the plan above while marketing to and negotiating with third parties who might want to put new money into Voyager. Think of it as them trying to put a fire out before putting it, trying to put the fire out before putting it on the market instead of trying to sell a house that is on fire. Now, enter our white knight, or black knight, Sam Bankman-Fried in shining armor. He has put in an offer to Voyager to protect its users by providing Voyager users with funds that are currently locked up in the Chapter 11 process with immediate liquidity. How does he plan to do this? FTX and Almeda Research will together purchase all of Voyager's crypto assets and loans, except for the 3AC loan, and pay the cash purchase price into an escrow account. Any Voyager user can then create an FTX account and withdraw his share of the cash proceeds. So essentially, FTX, Almeda are going to buy the debts, basically, and the assets of FTX minus the 3AC loan. Okay, so everything minus the 3AC loan. They're doing this at a discounted price. So what is in it for FTX? Well, what's going on here is they're getting to buy all the assets at the time of the filing, which, if we remember, ETH was somewhere around $1,000, which is way less than it is now, about 33% less, and all the other assets were kind of in the same boat. So what's happening is FTX is basically saying, we're okay playing the long-term game. We're okay waiting for this Chapter 11 thing to roll out. What we'll do is go ahead and free up the customer's cash, buying things at a discount, which means any customer that takes advantage of this cuts their the ability for them to get their full money back. But again, the trade here is that they get instant liquidity. So while you might, if you had 10 grand in, while you might not get the full 10 grand back, you can get full 5 grand today and waive your rights to your claims for this bankruptcy. And FTX will assume that responsibility, essentially. Now, again, you don't have to do this. So customers do not have to do this, okay? If you want to fight and wait for the whole thing to play out, FTX is basically saying you're more than welcome to do that. We are just offering people an out who might need the money today because we are long-term on this market. We're okay tying up our money for a little while, and we think, ultimately, this is near the bottom. That's what Sam's kind of signaling here, is that we think that this whole thing kind of caused the bottom, and we think that that's a good buy-in price. So we're okay accumulating those assets at that price level. Getting back to it. From there, you can also, of course, ape those proceeds into crypto assets on FTX if you'd like. So remember, you got to withdraw your money through FTX. So a lot of people might take that money and then go and immediately enter another trade on FTX, which is definitely a possibility. Essentially, the massive benefit for users is that you can have access to the cash, which would otherwise be locked up in the process immediately, and the Chapter 11 process may take a few years. So Sam Bankman-Fried is offering you liquidity now. Now, here's the catch. You are not being made whole. What Sam Bankman-Fried is doing is letting you hit fast forward on your claim as an unsecured creditor. So if Voyager has $1 billion of crypto assets and $2 billion of liabilities, and you have $10,000 in Voyager, your FTX account, should you submit to your new overlord, will have $5,000 in it. So does that make sense? If Voyager owes $2 billion and only has $1 billion in assets, well, then they can only allocate $1 billion in assets, which means you have to take a 50% haircut if you take this deal now. Now, that's not the exact numbers. It might be more like 75%. We don't really know that yet. He's just using this as an example, but that's essentially what would happen is if they're whatever their liabilities they owe minus their assets, that percentage difference is the haircut you would have to take if you took the FTX deal. And again, you're sort of waiving your right to receive funds again when the chapter and be made whole if the Chapter 11 resolves in a way that you would have. Again, the trade-off is money now versus waiting to maybe get all your money back later. But sir, I have Bitcoin in my Voyager account. Now this is the bit you may not be too happy with. This offer will dollarize all of your Bitcoin claims to USD on the date of the bankruptcy. So you're not getting Bitcoin back if you take this offer. You're getting cash, okay? And again, this is cash as of the time of the bankruptcy filing, which as we know, Bitcoin, it was a lot cheaper then than it is now. Ethereum was a lot cheaper then than it is now. So you're kind of getting a double haircut here because you're getting only half your money back, and it's money, it's not even at the market price. So again, that's sort of the catch. Again, Sam Bankman-Fried is a businessman. I would not expect him to do this and offer everybody their money back. This is an out if you need the money now. Is it beneficial? Is it, it's up to you to decide if it's important enough for you to get your money now, if you think you can make other investments that'll return you more than this would waiting for the bankruptcy to resolve. Now, if you have a ton of money in Voyager, you probably don't want to take this deal unless, again, you have, there's opportunity cost here, right, guys? So if your money being locked up in Bitcoin or whatever it is you had it invested in, if you think there's another opportunity to make more money if you got your money out today, then you might want to take this offer, right? Or if you need that money to pay the bills, this is pretty appealing to you. This is not meant to be a profitable offer. This is just meant to give people access to some of their cash now, should they need it or should they have a different plan for it. It gives you an out. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried is saying that this standard in a bankruptcy in the U.S. and that this is probably right. And that is probably right. Adam Levitin and I discussed this with Laura Shin, so that's that podcast I was talking about. You guys should definitely check that out. There's an incredibly interesting discussion on what happens in 3AC, but that's for another day. But what Sam Bankman-Fried is saying is that this is better than the alternative because you can take your $5,000 out today, long Bitcoin in Sam's casino if you think it's going to moon. You cannot if it's sitting in Voyager. In fact, in Sam Bankman-Fried's latest tweet storm, he made a very good point that right now millions are being paid out in advisor fees, which come out on top of the distribution waterfall. That in turn leads to even smaller asset pool for distribution to unsecured creditors. K&E and Moelis, these are the legal team, fees may be in the 8 figures by now. That's just by now. Mind you that this filing was just a couple weeks ago. So what Sam is saying is like, look, you can wait it out if you want. You might get some of your money back. You might get 90 cents on a dollar back. But who knows how long this is going to take. And the legal fees are coming out of the pool that you would get shared back. So it's it could happen to where this thing draws out for 3 years. They end up paying a couple $100 million, and instead you only get 75 cents of your dollar back out, right? So you might wait all that time, miss out on all these other opportunities when you could have just taken a 50% haircut. Now you're taking a 25%, but the opportunity cost was massive. That's kind of what Sam is saying here. Why is Invest Voyager pissed with this offer? In a nutshell, this is because the offer is being made as if they are in liquidation, but they are not. The Voyager statement puts it best. Almeda FTX essentially proposes a liquidation where FTX serves the role of the liquidator. Sam has very cleverly dollarized the crypto assets and liabilities on the Chapter 11 filing date. Huge tell that he thinks that we have bottomed, and would be the case in a liquidation. But Voyager is not in a liquidation. In fact, their draft plan actually contemplates returning crypto to users when it emerges out of Chapter 11. So that means you could potentially receive Bitcoin for your Bitcoin deposits when Voyager emerges out of Chapter 11, and thus benefit from any upswings in price and not just dollarized claim. So basically, again, you can pull out Bitcoin later and not actually lose anything if you wait for the full Chapter 11 process to play out. But who knows how long that'll take, and it's not guaranteed. Now, Voyager is doubly pissed because Sam, using it interchangeably with Almeda and FTX, has gone around the bidding process that they have set up. In order to realize maximum value for the business, Voyager intends to conduct an auction process, and based on its filings, the plan is to receive bids by the deadline of August 26th and hold an auction on the 29th of August if necessary. It looks like they have already engaged with over 80 third parties for new financing, and Sam is not playing according to the rules and has obviously pissed them off. So they're trying to get other financiers involved so that they can kind of try to recover themselves a little bit. But if with Sam's deal, it drains a lot of the assets that they would have if people decide to take this offer. So then it makes it less appealing to new financiers, right? Their valuation is going to be less because what FTX is basically doing is siphoning the customers off of Voyager into FTX. Which if you are Voyager sucks, right? Like they're basically poaching your customers by giving them this out and kind of leaving you in the dust. Your valuation is going to tank because your customer base is leaving, and that's Voyager's gripe. Now, again, at you as the customer, this is great because this gives you options. Again, I do not think that this is malicious towards customers because ultimately you do not have to go forward with this, but it does give you the option. There are a few other points which we can go into detail separately, such as Sam allegedly misrepresenting the $70 million write-off. Voyager thinks it's already subordinate to account holder claims in Voyager tokens, but the crew of the matter in the proposal is this. Sam wants acquire Voyager's users for cheap. He does not value Voyager as a business, its IP tokens, etc. He only values the crypto assets and its customers. So in exchange for immediate USD cash liquidity, you move on to FTX platform. See why Voyager is pissed. Now, my assessment of the plan. I think it is shrewd and opportunistic proposal framed as a white knight bid. I don't think it's a bad offer. Sam makes an excellent point that Chapter 11 is incredibly expensive, and the asset pool available for distribution to unsecured creditors is shrinking every day because Chapter 11s are incredibly expensive. Fees may go well into the nine figures by the time this is all done. Instead of that, you could have immediate liquidity today instead of effectively being long whatever Voyager has left. You could go 25x leverage in Sam's casino instead with the immediate casino chips he is giving you. Our Afroed overlord is giving you the chance to make it all back in one trade. The downside, of course, is the fact that your claims are dollarized on the filing date. I am a hentai anime penguin in a suit. None of this is legal, financial, moral, or religious advice. I am not exposed to Voyager or FTX, but I'd probably work for SBF if you offered me a job as a distressed crypto fund lawyer. By Wassie's good community. Minor correction that Sam Bankman-Fried's offer is actually a valuation made on the closing date, but he has referenced the dollarized value of the US or the Chapter 11 filing date as the starting point, and Voyager has accused him of doing this, thanks to those who pointed it out. So, again, in a nutshell, if you had money into Voyager, this gives you an out to instant liquidity. You, as the customer, waive your right to any Chapter 11 claims later on. So if you take this cash out through Sam, you won't be able to get, if the whole filing goes all according to plan and everybody gets back all their money, you will take the haircut and you won't get the rest of your money back. Basically, FTX has bought your assets, or the Voyager assets left. Something I forgot to mention and make clear, and I kind of misspoke on, is that because Sam is not buying out the 3AC debt to Voyager, if they recover money back from 3AC, even if you take Sam's offer, you could get compensated for the money that they get out of 3AC because that's not a part of this deal. So while you're waiving your rights to all the other claims, that's one that you could get back if they get more money out of 3AC. Now, I wouldn't count on them getting a ton out of 3AC just because 3AC is in such a pickle right now. They owe so many people so much money that it's probably going to be just a little bit of money, but again, that is money that you would see back later because it's not a part of Sam's deal. So that's sort of what is going on here, okay? Again, I don't think everyone on Twitter is blowing this up as if Sam Bankman-Fried is just trying to kick people when they're down. And while granted, he's kind of kicking Voyager while they're down, he's a businessman. He saw an opportunity. He's proceeding through things legally. And ultimately, I think that this is good for the consumer. This is good for customers in Voyager because let's not forget, Voyager did almost zero risk management. They left over 50% of their lending portfolio was 3AC, who defaulted. That's how they got in this mess in the first place. Sam Bankman-Fried came out, gave them a loan, propped them up to where they are for now. And now they're giving the customers an out. So Voyager was not acting in the best interest of the customers. Again, do not forget this, okay? There's a reason they are in the situation that they are in. So for Sam to come in here and try to give an on-ramp to FTX and sort of funnel the customers over, absolutely it's profitable for him. Absolutely it's in his best interest. But again, he is a businessman taking advantage of an opportunity that he sees on a company that did wrong by its customers and is now in a pickle. There's a reason why Sam has this money and Voyager does not, okay? That's not to say that Sam does not screw over customers or traders. We very well have lots of evidence that there has been some questionable market making sort of stuff going on. I'm not saying that Sam is just the all righteous crypto trader guy, okay? He's not. But again, neither is Voyager, and Sam right here I think is giving people an option to cash out their money, which I don't think is bad for the customer. So guys, if this is your first video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're following this whole 3AC situation that really is spurred from the Luna situation. There's been so much going on here, so I try to cover it as much as I can. I'd love to have you along with our crypto journey, and I will see you guys next time.